This you?
Was poppin', was poppin'. Welcome, Nikki and Moose. I'm Nikki. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And welcome to the live show. And of course, the new episode dropped today, episode 113, Creator Economy Blueprint. So go check out the audio experience because it's a whole vibe. So do that. Shout out to everybody who's watching this live. Shout out to everybody who's watching this replay. Y'all already know the vibes. If this adds any kind of value to you, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the super chat or the super thanks. If you're on Facebook, hit those stars. That's what it is. Stars. Let us know where you're watching this from. That whole nine. We appreciate you. Moose, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good. Excited for this live. Had a busy last couple of days for sure. Definitely been rocking. So I was just grateful to get in a little meal before we got on. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, it's those days where you're having to choose between like work and food.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's like, okay, I know I need to eat, but the work is really important right now. So let me just slide this in.
We need to do better with that. We do need to do better with that.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I think that's a thing for all like heavy workers. I'm not even gonna downplay it to entrepreneurs or anything like that. I think that is a thing for all heavy workers. We need to do better.
No, that is a complete fact. Yeah, but other than that, man, things are good. Just having a good old time on this end. How are you?
I am Gucci. Really busy as far as Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that whole nine. It is we got a lot of new people. Shout out to Deeper Than the Brand. Whole like over 1,000 people joined. So super excited about that. Have some big things going on. I'm wearing a hoodie. It's as much.
Hey.
I'm pulling loose as much as I can say. You feel me?
Let's go.
As I can say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certain things are in the works. 2023 is gonna start off not bad. Yeah, I mean,
it's looking
all right.
It's looking nice, my people. It's looking nice. It's looking nice. Well, listen, man, share this with a couple of people before we get going. If you know a couple of creative entrepreneurs, friends of yours who have been thinking about starting a personal brand, little side hustle or main hustle, whatever it is, make sure you share this with them before we get going into it. I think today's conversation is going to be really powerful and also very unique because, quite honestly, we haven't really talked about this part of the equation probably ever on a live. I want to say that. I don't remember us really talking about it, but really to give you all some context, over the last couple of podcast episodes, especially for those of you who haven't listened to this week's episode, make sure you check it out and check out the last couple of weeks, honestly, too. Last couple of episodes have been really, really fire. We're getting a lot of great feedback, but one of the shifts that we're starting to see, and anytime you start to see things like that happening where it's getting a lot of public attention, it should also get your attention as a creative, right? Or a personal brand or someone who is just like, man, I just want to do what I'm passionate about. And so that shift is the dialogue around business and business development is starting to come to mainstream. And you're starting to see everyone paying attention and talking about the importance of, yes, build your brand, but hey, make sure you also build the business side as well. Because if you don't know what game you're playing, you can get burned or you're not going to maximize on what's available to you here. So you really just want to dive into this topic now where how do we create unique experiences for getting people that have been engaging with our brand, meaning we got them maybe in our community or on our core audience, or they're a part of maybe a customer base, or they know about us, but they haven't really transacted with us, meaning that we haven't acquired them as a customer yet. Now, of course, there are different types of acquisition, meaning you can acquire people as a client in many different ways. You can acquire them as a one-on-one client. You can acquire them as a community member. You can acquire them as someone who is just enrolling into your courses and some of your products, that your digital products that you have available. There are different ways in which this can happen, but ultimately there's still some level of uniqueness that should happen so that you can make yourself stand out. We talked about one of the key ingredients on the podcast. Last podcast, we talked about one of those key ingredients is community. Now, let's dive into this a little bit further to talk about how you can create a unique experience to convert community members or audience into actual clients. So, Nix, I know that you have, been working on something, and it's really cool, right? Because you don't publicize this. And I guess you and I are very similar in that fashion. Like we almost make it very difficult for people to work with us. So unless you really know, or you know how to get around some of these sneaky ways, you wouldn't know how to publicly transact with us. But there's a method behind that madness. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody do this, but Nikki, I want you to kind of break this down, because you're creating this new experience for specifically the one-on-one portion of the business. And I'm sure you're doing it on other fronts as well. But let's just open up the dialogue and really talk about how can someone who has probably been taking all of the advice online and putting out content and building their brand and establishing some trust with audience, now start creating a unique experience, or slightly start to pivot to also prioritize and build the business simultaneously. So just walk us, through a little bit of that, and we'll kind of dialogue around this whole thing tonight.
Yeah, so y'all know, and we've, of course, been speaking about it, experience is really important to me in this season going into 2023, right? So with knowing that, I already understand some of the demands that people ask from me. And one of the biggest things that I get is, how do I work with you? How do I get the one-on-ones with you? And for me, sitting down in one spot, forcing somebody to do Zoom, Google meetings, that whole nine, when everybody else is doing it, didn't sit well with me. Right. And so it was more, and people hear me out with this. It's like, when you don't want to do something, like, make it available, but sometimes make it hard for them to find it. So they're real serious. Right. So for me, the one-on-ones were kind of like that. Like, I don't mind doing them. However, I don't want to spend all day doing that. So if you're real serious about it, you had to find it. And if you found it, you deserve to have a one-on-one and that whole nine. But it wasn't until recently that I found something that would allow to have a different experience that wasn't just a one and done situation. It was still on a time status, right? Mm-hmm. So like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, hour, whatever it is. But it was more on a comfortable, if I ask you a question, you feel stumped, come back to me kind of side of things. So I found this app called Volley. Shout out to Volley. No, they don't pay me. I just really rock with them, right? And what it allows me to do is set up a one-on-one situation, right? So I have 3 different packages. One that's like 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and then you can have only 10 spots for the monthly situation. And what it allows is letting a person feel comfortable speaking to me in their most comfortable way. So meaning they could do video if they want to. They could do audio. They could do text, right? and they're allotted a certain amount of time, and if their question takes 5 minutes, then that time carries on until it finishes, right? So like if I booked Moose on his volley page and I did 30 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I got these amount of questions. Moose, how do you do this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? The dialogue may be going back and forth 6-7 minutes. All right, Moose be like, all right, follow up with me. Tell me how it is. 2 days later, I could be like, yo, I did this. I still have some more questions. But the great thing is it could be on your phone. It could be on your desktop. And it allows freedom for both parties to not feel so stuffed up and be like, I have to get all of this out and then it's done. Mm-hmm. Right? So it was a different experience that I'm testing out now, and I have a few people, and the feedback is amazing. The feedback is like, yo, I love this. This is allowing me to be me. And the people that I have hit all different ways. They've hit me with video. They've hit me with audio. They love the text part. They can send links. They can send documents. And now it takes what was maybe boring or intimidating to some to now just, oh, I could hit Nikki up whenever, right? Literally, whenever, as long as my time allots me to do such. So I love that part because that's kind of the experience where you don't seem so much like, for me, in these situations, such like a money grab. It is really, I want to spend as much time with you and not force it and not make you feel that you have to have all the answers and all the questions in one spot ready. I'm going to overwhelm you and you're not going to even have the chance to ask me again unless you pay another fee. So, and that's kind of what I'm looking for when we're going into 2023, just different experiences, different ways to get access, and then allowing the journey to start from there. And it be just a whole new unique way that everybody feels comfortable with, that I actually enjoy doing, that the other person actually enjoys being a part of and don't feel like, oh my God, this is work, that whole nine. So that's kind of,
that's pretty cool. So it's almost like the rollover minutes, if you remember from back in the day, where, hey, you have this much time or this amount of minutes available to you. If you don't use them, it's okay because they roll over to the next conversation or the next meeting until you use up that entire time.
Yep.
I love it. And you know what was cool? And I had no idea this was even available. So I love that that's something that people can even take advantage of. But what I think is really cool even more is that it really is still building on the element of community.
Yes.
You know, it's saying, hey, I don't want to just try and take all your money right now unless you absolutely get value. You know, when I first started in this industry, I was definitely, and still am in a lot of ways similar to you, Nikki, I was very hesitant to take people's money. It wasn't so much discomfort of the sale, but I didn't just want to take people's money without really understanding what is the problem or how can I truly serve and make sure that I guarantee that we get you to the desired outcome. It's not just something that I put together that sounds really good. It sounds appealing. And you say, okay, cool, I'm going to sign on a dotted line. And then whatever happens after that is not my responsibility, right? I didn't want to attach myself to that kind of experience. And so, you know how I am, folks. I'm always looking for principles to live by so that I can stay consistent over time. And I said, unless I can fulfill my promise, don't accept people's money, or don't accept people's money before you can guarantee solving their problems. Now, if you think about it, you in your early phases of transitioning from brand and community, meaning building brand and community, to starting to make the move toward, all right, let me start expanding on the business because, hey, I want to build my business. I want to maybe leave my 9 to 5. No, nothing against the 9 to 5, but I want to dive more into my passion or do more of what I'm doing here. Well, you have to pay attention to the business. But I want to tell you that one of the ways to not ever feel like you're compromising or you're maybe taking advantage of folks or anything like that is to live by such a principle that is just that simple. I will not accept someone's money unless I know for certain I can solve their problem, especially for us service providers and people in the info space, right? So something just as simple as that, I think, can create a very unique experience. How has it, and I'm wondering, Nix, I don't know if you know how long you've been doing it, because I know you had some things in the past as well. But how are you seeing some of the rollover now, not just from a time standpoint, but from a program standpoint? Meaning, man, it was cool interacting with Nikki on a one-on-one basis, but now I see that she got this going on. So I think I want to be a part of that too, right? Because one of the things that, and just from a quick, like high level standpoint, one of the things that a lot of brands don't pay attention to is this term that's called lifetime value, right? Meaning, how can I build a relationship with someone, a client, or better yet, no, let me not say client, a community member or someone who is a part of my audience? How can I build a relationship with them so that they don't just engage with my product or service one time, but they actually engage with me over a period of time or over a lifetime? And so they buy with me on a reoccurring basis. That could be a weekly basis, a monthly basis, a biannual basis, whatever that is. And the more you can get people to come back for reoccurring revenue, that's probably the best time to be in business, because you're out of the rat race of constantly hunting new business, right? Maybe you don't have to run ads as much, or you don't have to do all of the things that you might normally do when you're trying to attract new business, because you have a consistent base of clients that are engaging with you on a reoccurring basis. So just for general knowledge, that's something super important. Now, I'm wondering, Nix, how have you seen maybe folks or people from the one-on-ones start to leak into some of your other programs where they're like, okay, I had this interaction, this was a positive experience, and let me go from here. Or maybe even the latter too, right? Maybe it was like, man, I was kind of hesitant to rock with you, Nix, but now that we got to talk, actually, all right, let's really go.
Right. So the funny thing is, all the people who are signing up have already been in the programs, right?
Wow.
So it's not here. Let me be introduced to you through this. They've gone through the ladder, and now it's like, yeah, I still need to talk to you. This is great, right? Now I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I'm super excited about this. Like, so when I get off of this, I'm gonna actually, talk to some of them, get some updates, and keep it moving. But they're in the community as well. They're part of certain programs. One has joined the Black Friday bundle. The other one was already part of one of the highest programs that we have. So it is, it's not, hey, let me be introduced through the one-on-one. These are things like, let me get more access to Nikki. Let me get, like, I seen the consistency. I seen the help. You've added value in these different things. I've been in this program. You added value to a certain point, but I still need that secret sauce. I need your eyes on my specific thing so I can fully put 2 and 2 together. So it kind of works out that way. For me, I don't see it working, vice versa.
I like that. If you remember, there was always, CJ has coined a phrase, especially when it comes to branding, and some of this is around when people say, look at their competitors, right? Oftentimes when someone is in business, the idea of, well, what are your competitors doing? At least maybe some time back, it definitely was a common question. It was something that you were often asked. So what are your competitors doing? Like, have you studied the market? Have you studied the competition? And I love CJ's philosophy on this, because he says, think more about what your competitors are not doing instead of studying your competitors, say, to mimic them or at least come in at an equal rate, right? Because if I can go to Nike and get a Nike shoe, I don't need to go to the fake Nike to get a similar Nike. For that, I just rather go to Nike. And so when thinking about, designing a unique experience, expand on that a little bit too, Nix, because I love the concept of the not doing when it comes to that. Because again, yes, there are common best practices across the board. Any and every industry has, say, best practices that are common. People know about, they expect to have a similar experience so that they can maybe go through the service or product. But from a different standpoint, the not doing, when you start to see that, oh, my competitor is actually not doing this, this may open up, say, an opportunity or something, a way for me to be a little bit more uniquely positioned in a marketplace. So at any point, were you like looking through that? Were you looking or thinking through like, okay, what are some of the not doing? What are some of these people not doing? And how did you find them? To like, because I guess it can be difficult to like think through like, what is somebody not doing? So how did you actually do that?
Yeah, so I look from a one-on-one standpoint, I looked at, how do people communicate with their clients, right? And so you looked at it from Zoom got very popular, especially during the pandemic. Things like Skype before, Google Meetings, phone calls used to be the vibe. I'm not giving my phone number to everybody. So I already saw what was happening. I saw the time period. I saw, some people just, hey, sit down and talk to me. And some people literally had, structured out, this is what we're going to do on these one-on-ones. For me, after looking and actually doing some just that same way, right? I saw that, for one, I didn't like it that way, right? And so once I saw that there was something else that you can do, everything is about testing out, experimenting, and finding what is your thing, regardless if the market is doing it or not. What is your thing? Because your thing is going to be consistent, right? And so some people could do the Zooms. I feel that with this, I'm more excited to check my notifications and check the progress of things, and that it's pretty much documented by me just scrolling and seeing the conversation. And I could kind of show like an example real quick. Hold on, let me go into one of them. If it lets me. It doesn't want to. Of course not. Because when I'm talking, it doesn't want to. Why does
Come on, Vale,
technology
cooperate real quick.
Right. Like, it's like, nah, homie. I know you want to show it. Here we go. So, real quick. I'll go to, boom. So you can see between text, me speaking, dude feels I could do video. He's sending stuff. Boom. I'm responding. And he stays in his element. We're going back and forth with audio. So, and these are multiple days, right? So I could go back, like one was 9 hours ago. I checked that. 20 hours ago, 2 days ago. And it's like, but he got 30 minutes. Out of all that, only 8 minutes was used.
Wow.
You see? So it actually, you get more, because I know I've been on some one-on-ones and I've paid a good amount, and it's like, okay, I get the recording, but that's great. And so, and I know a lot of people who felt kind of that same way. To this, it's more of, oh, I could really see what this is about. I could really, like, I could go back at any time. I can, and I know not many people are doing that. One, I took advantage of something that just came out. That feature just came out a couple of weeks ago. So I was already on the app. Here's the thing. I've been using this app since probably, when did I speak at Social Media Marketing World? I don't know, that long ago, when I went to San Diego, right? Earlier this year. I've been using it since then. I have one of my mastermind groups in there, and kind of seeing how do we like it, how do we don't. It creates constant communication in a mastermind that normally only meets once a month. So now I have them here to, hey, let's do some check-ins. Here's where the announcement. It's Slack and Marco Polo combined, right? So you have different channels, but you get to interact with them in different ways, right? So I don't, and for me, and I know this is a long answer, I don't want to do what everybody's doing because I don't know if I will feel comfortable. I will try it because I can't intelligently say, I don't like it if I've never tried it. So I tried it. I don't like it. Right? I actually dread sometimes when somebody had booked and I was like, oh my God. All right, what am I doing at 2? Right? But this is, I'm super excited about. I actually like it. So if people start catching on, cool. If they don't, cool. But when you do something new, it's now about educating the people, right? Because now it's a new platform. Now people's never seen that. So now you have to explain, this is what this does. This is how, and this is for any new product, service, however you want to go about things. The way to create conversions in what you're putting out is to educate the people. So you have to show the people. You have to give examples. You have to break down what is going to be a part of it, what's not going to be a part of it, right? You may need to, like for mines, I've made it limited, right? There's one that's a monthly situation that I'm only giving away for 10 people for the whole year. That's it. This is not when the season comes back. 10 people for the whole year, right? And I'm going to promote that on my lives and things like that. Clearly, after this Cyber Monday situation had calmed down, because I don't want to be like, here and here. I did release it Black Friday, like I promised. Released it to those people who had already, who had already showed interest. But that was it. Now, because I don't like colliding and making people pick, right? But now that Black Friday, Cyber Monday has been done, now I'm going to be like, okay, this is to get ready for 2023. This is for those people who don't want to guess, who don't want to go through the courses, who just want to go straight to the source and have that, right? And here is where you have to educate people on the importance of it and what do they get. So, long answer. I apologize.
No, that's so good though, because it's funny. What I would consider the onboarding process is actually one of the most important elements to having a successful conversion, right? So you can't really have a conversion because here's what I realized. Just because someone buys, that doesn't mean they're bought in. And what I mean by that is, yes, they can see your stuff and be like, okay, this meets my need. I need it. I'm going to pull out my credit card and pay. But it doesn't mean that they're bought in to the fullness of the way you do things, what you're teaching, how you're teaching it, or what you're trying to take them through. And so how you help someone to get acclimated to your community or the resources that you have available to them, that onboarding process is so critical. And so the smoother the onboarding process, the more likely that someone is going to successfully convert or stay engaged in your program or service and continue to retain with you over time. And so, for us, at least on the extreme execution side, the one thing that we've always put attention to is the training portal. Mm-hmm. Now, in some cases, people will look at a training portal, and a lot of service providers will do this. They will create, let's say your experience is a live experience, so similar to what Nikki's describing on the one-on-ones. That's a live experience. You get to speak with her one-on-one. Even for a training, like some form of live certification like we do, or even an event, you're doing that live with the group. But at some point, they're going to have to do some form of self-study. They're going to have to go through this process on their own. And so you'll have some people who will create that to be a course. So they'll say, okay, get the live training, and we'll give you a bonus course as well. Mm-hmm. What we've done differently is we've created a training portal that is updated on a monthly basis to keep the information as current, as fresh. And then once a year, we do a complete rehaul to really test the methods and see if they're still working and effective, up to date, and then update them even once more. And so when you think about it, as soon as someone gets access into that portal, they're able to walk out their entire experience and know exactly what they should be doing in the first 30 days, in the next 30 days, or up to days 31 through 60, and then 61 through 90. So 90 days of giving someone a roadmap or an outline to have instruction when they don't have access to a live call. Say that we don't have a scheduled call or something like that. There is a self-guided resource that they can follow to help them get the information that they need. They can see where they're at in the process, compare and contrast, and figure out their next move. So, to your point about, just making sure that process is smooth, the onboarding piece, man, is so critical for that whole thing.
That's a fact. Now, my question to you, are you going to get the Volley thing too?
I have to look into it. I didn't even know it existed. I was going to ask you, so that means there's no live calls. It's just messaging. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's access to you. So that at the end of the day, it's people want access and be able to ask you questions, quote unquote, pick your brain, that whole nine, get some type of strategy, and you're able to do that right through your phone, or you can do it through the desktop, that whole nine.
Man, that's cool. I got to look into it. And it makes sense. The name Volley, I get it now. I just volley back and forth and rock with the people. Okay, let me ask you this then. It's just a little selfish question here. Maybe the people will chime in. You know what I'm saying? Let's chime in. Is it more important to roll out a live or to create something like a Volley? If you were me and I were you, what would you say to me? That just made no sense, but
I think the people want more of you, right? And access to you. Now, at the same time, they're going to follow your lead. So meaning, if you want to do live, go ahead. But are you going to go in and out of people's lives by you doing this one time and then you're like, yeah, no. Or you can test out, you could say, yo, I'm doing this with 4 or 5 people, right? Just to see. You can even open it up like, yo, I'm doing 10 minutes. Ask me anything. Boom, boom, boom. We're good, right? And see how you feel about it. And then kind of cater it to how you want to go about it. Yeah. Right? I've been on Volley for a minute, so I knew, yo, you want this? Here this is. You want this? Here this is. Now we're going to do Monday through Friday check-ins. If you're serious for the 10 people, we're going to do Monday and Friday check-ins. You tell me your goals. You tell me how many times you're going to post. Friday, I check in. We see the stats. We come up with a new strategy if we need to. I'm literally your content manager / strategist for your team and for you. You know? Yeah. So, because I understand I can come in and out, you come in and out. That's it. So I would say you have to test out kind of both, and you've done live, so I don't think you need to test that part out. But test out new platforms, and this is for everybody. Test out new platforms based off the experience that you're trying to do. If you want to do something different, try it out. It doesn't hurt, right? Try it out with a small group. I did that with my mastermind group. I said, yo, let's all try this out. Let's do it. They love it, right? So I said, boom, okay, that's the beta. Now we can go into the real deal. So when you're thinking about something, at least try it with a beta team.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that. I gotta admit, and I've always said this, and I'll say it again publicly. I think one of the really cool things about you, well, there are many. I love the fact that you're always testing, and you're never afraid of changing and going to the next thing. I see a question here that's pretty dope, man. Chandra's, yeah, computer's a little far, but Chandra said, "What does this do for the community experience? Are you replacing community with Volley?"
No. So it can add to the element of community, but it's not going to replace community for me, right? So in my situation, I have Deeper Than the Brand that is hosted on Mighty Networks, right? So that will allow me to host, we have over 1,000 people in there, right? And I'm able, based off the tools and the resources that provides, to cater to those people who are in there so they don't feel lost and that whole nine. If I had over 1,000 people in Volley, first off, that'll give me anxiety. Second, somebody's going to get lost, right? Yeah. So no, that doesn't replace the community side. But now as we get into higher programs, more of a mastermind status, more of a one-on-one situation, right? Then we can add in Volley because it gives you a more direct communication with the people, and in smaller groups, so it's not super overwhelming, because your notifications, if you have over 1,000 people, would look insane, right? Now you could do a broadcast only for those people who are familiar with that from a Telegram situation, WhatsApp situation, where there's a channel that only you are speaking to and no one's replying to it. You could do that, right? But then that only makes it a one-way communication. So this Volley is literally, for me, now people can use it in different ways, but for me, it is going to be more of a direct access for one-on-ones and small, probably nothing more than 20 as far as a group.
Man, that's pretty dope, because, as I think about it now, the standard process that we've had in place is almost like a qualifying offer. And by the way, that in itself is a unique experience. So as we're talking about unique experience that converts, just know that the qualification or the qualifying offer, that too is a unique experience, because really what we're saying is, hey, I don't want to work with everybody.
Right.
I want to work with a select group of individuals, ones who qualify or fit a specific criteria. However, because I know that may not be the masses, let me help you grow from where you are to the point of which you can qualify to work with me at that point. So again, as you can see, some people may think, well, man, that's kind of stuck up or conceited. It's not. Again, you have to think about what's your workflow? What's your ideal workflow? How do you like to, do you not care to work with any and everybody? You'll just have one-on-ones with them and meet them over lunch or dinner or coffee and get to work? Or are you someone who's a little bit more particular? Or maybe your process that you have, it's not that you as a person, maybe even the process that you have is a specialized, unique process, and it's only a good fit for people who fit a certain mold. And so you do have to create some barriers to entry so that you can focus on working with only people who fit that criteria. And as I mentioned, that too is a unique experience. Now, on the flip side of it, what I like about what you're saying here, Nix, is that this actually opens the doors. It takes down a lot of those barriers and says, hey, for any and everybody, maybe you need more access to get to that next level where you can qualify. And so let me give you a platform like this that gives you that direct access to help you accelerate the growth. That's kind of how I see it there, which I'm now thinking, I'm like, oh, okay, so have more, one is more of an exclusive offer, and one, although limited in supply, because as you mentioned, it's only available for 10 to 20 people throughout the year, it's still less restricted. It allows more people access.
Right. Yeah, no, it's taking control of your time, right? While still being accessible. That's how I look at it. Controlling your time while still being accessible. And I'm glad you brought up like kind of the application part too, because I was thinking about doing that for the monthly joint. And I think that is an amazing idea for certain people, just because you get to see who's really interested and if they're up to that standard of talking to you on such a regular basis. Some people just want their answers and be out. That's right. And some people are really interested in growing, but they may not be ready for the information that you can provide. And you have to make sure that you're not just saying things and it goes over their head. So sometimes the application part is important because you're getting to see, all right, you know, are they, like for my instance, do they have the followers in order to go to the next one, right? Do they have the engagement that we're seeking for? Do they have any types of products and services? And so you can help also better guide what's going to happen next for that person when they do have an application. And it doesn't make, now some people are going to be like, well, that's an extra step. That's okay. Because the people who do it are more likely to convert than the people who just look at your site and that's it.
Yeah, you don't want them anyway. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is I think I told you I was listening to a book on the Amazon story, and similar to that exact point that you were making, they got to a point in the company's history where they were paying people to quit because they said, if you take the offer, then you definitely were not meant to be here. You know, so it's like, it really does play into that mentality of, I want to work with, or I want to be around those who have a specific way of thinking. And obviously you deliver different types of information for that group versus someone who's just starting their journey, which you want to create a different experience for them. So you want to have both, but determine what's right for you right now. Because I mean, having a conversation now, I'm still only on one side of it. Really, I don't think, you know, whatever, but I pick what's right for you, I guess, is the main point. But you mentioned it, and of course, it's becoming really, I was going to say your favorite thing, but it's really becoming our favorite thing because I think you sold me on it. I'm becoming a fan of it now too. But the element of community, man, it's so many dope benefits.
It took a few years. It took a few years.
About 4. I'm not gonna lie. About 4. About 4 years.
Yeah.
But I'm really loving this concept more and more now. And of course, again, we talked about community being the main thing that you need to have a competitive advantage over other personal brands or other people in your space in 2023. So what about some unique experiences for community now? Because yes, the one-on-one, obviously, automatically it has its unique onboarding process or a unique experience overall. But what about on the community side? Because traditionally for a long time, that has been done the same way. I know we talked about gamification as one thing, but other than that, or in addition to that, expand on it and maybe talk a little bit about just like, creating unique experiences for community now.
So I'll speak on what I plan on doing, and it'll probably give people ideas, right? So for the community, right? And it's crazy because it's starting to become more of a language, and maybe when you hear it once, now you're starting to hear it everywhere, right? Like that car, like, oh, I want a car, and then all of a sudden you see all these cars. Shout out to BMW. I see what you're doing in my life, right? So Damien came on and said that, you know what, it's not just going to be about courses anymore. It's going to be kind of like community and courses both together, and how does that work? Now, if you pay attention to what's happening with EYL and Recession Proof, shout out to them, right? They merged and now they're making interactive courses, right? So when the course is happening, it's actually happening with a person. Pat Flynn, a really OG in the podcast game, is also create an interactive community. So I'm hearing this over and over again. And now I'm like, okay, so for deeper than the brand, first and foremost, where other people may charge for everything in the world once they get inside, the first thing that we're going to be doing in December is a free content challenge, right? Something that the whole group of people are going to be doing together, posting something together, seeing how easy it is to be consistent for about 30 days, right? Then next year, I have something as far as one of the programs that are coming out that, well, we're revamping, that now is going to have live content creation classes, right? So instead of you just jumping on Zoom and hearing lessons, which I find now starting to get very boring, right? It is more of how do we teach you in where it's a show and tell, right? How are you going to do it the following week, the week after that? So we'll do something, and then a couple of weeks in that month, what is your show and tell? So I show and tell you, you show and tell me afterwards, right? With a certain group of people and certain type of membership, right? So that's where the experience starts to become different within the community, to where some people will just gather people and get on calls, gather people, and, you know, make them go through videos by themselves, right? Maybe a check-in here and there, but that is it. And I think there does need to be a point where, okay, you watch the videos, but even, and I don't know if Aaron's watching, but me and Aaron's been going back and forth because I don't believe in you go in one way as far as, okay, watch the videos, and the next step is, okay, watch more videos for a bigger price because the videos give you more in this one, right? I don't believe in that. And so Deeper Than the Brand is going to do it a little bit different, to where we're going to give you the videos more as reference than must-haves. This is something you can go back to, but it's not necessarily something that is the end-all be-all and you have to watch it in order to get to the next one, and no true guidance, can't ask no questions. That's it. You have to lean on the community. Though there is a sense of leaning on the community, that's an everyday basis. That's not you have to. That's because you want to. Right? So we're doing things a bit different. And just because I see where the market is going, I see where, some of the thought leaders already in it are going. So now it's a matter of, let's not be left behind. We already didn't like doing courses anyways, because we understand some people just forget to watch. Some people have questions. And what I read the other day, which was so key to what's even helping me now when people transition into the community, if you make somebody feel dumb, they will stop even messing with it. And not intentionally like you're making them feel dumb. Like if there is a little bit of a learning curve and they can't figure it out themselves and no one's reaching out or whatever, they'll probably say, forget it. Right? So you want to make things as simple as you can, as well as guiding them through each step, making them feel seen and heard, but as well as once they've figured it out, smart and accomplished, right? That's the biggest thing for people to continue, is that not necessarily that, okay, I finished it, whoop-de-woo. Have they developed, and do they have any accomplishments in this journey? So that's something that I recently have been really honing in on, because people will think about it like, well, then give them badges and leaderboards and they feel accomplished. It's deeper than that. It's really providing them with a skill, a development that they didn't get before. Hence why, and does come from the gamification, hence why some of these people are so addicted to the games, because they're developing a character that others do not have. And so when we look at those kind of things, we have to see how can we put that in our business, in our community, in our lives, of how are we creating a place where they feel developed and accomplished. And that's just one of the things. But if, especially in a community, you want to make them feel that so they can continue, because the second you make them feel dumb, or they, like some games where you're on the same level and you're like, oh, okay, I can't do it. Make them feel dumb, they're not going to do it no more. They're going to be distracted. You make them feel dumb in the community, in the course, in the way they buy your product or service, trying to find it everywhere, they're going to stop and be distracted and look for it other places. I know that really wasn't the topic, but
bro, that's so good though. No, that's like, you're talking about the elements of building community and really helping people find a space in which they feel encouraged, yet challenged, and seeing that this is the path for them to continue to grow. I 100% agree with you that videos and paying more money for more videos, that's a business development rule. You should never upsell more of the same thing, or never upsell something that is similar to the previous thing in which a customer or client engaged with. So I 100% agree with a lot of what you said. To be honest, I don't know that we need to say anything else, but for those of you tuning in either live or watching this on a replay, run back the last 7 or 8 minutes of what Nikki just said. Man, that is really good information for real, because I think, when you're engaging in community, you're in the development business, you're in the people development business specifically. And so it's not about having your schedule or your curriculum interrupted because you have an agenda for what you want to get done by a certain time. By all means, that is important. But if you are on track, but your students are falling off, What's the point? And so it's more important to make adjustments when necessary to really connect with people on a deeper level and help them overcome something that you never know how long they've been dealing with. And by the way, it's always a good reminder for those of us who are looking to build community or at least roll out that concept as part of their brand or their business. Just know that people's challenges, they're not challenges that they just they didn't just develop those challenges. They didn't just occur right now. This is likely a challenge that's been with them for as long as they've been on this journey or on this path. And so they're not trying to, again, interrupt or slow you down. It's a matter of helping someone really have a big breakthrough that you never know what it can contribute to down the line. I mean, yeah, I'll be honest, on my front, man, I'm so committed to helping our community members to generate revenue. I don't want to say I don't care about anything else, but I'm absolutely committed to helping people break through the fear of not knowing what to do or the lack of clarity, the fear around engaging on a business front. I think I now have mastered enough experience and dialogued around business so much that it's really becoming a second nature for me, where when it comes to that biz dev side, I'm able to understand a lot of different business verticals and how to really engineer some of the plans and the strategies to get someone from, start to scale. It's probably the best way to say it. And so now I don't care. Like, I thought about it. What's the best way to achieve massive growth? Get myself more growth, or get a bunch of people more growth, like together. And I was like, oh, by all means, the domino effect of getting people growth is going to make me feel as though I've accomplished way more growth as if I only focused on myself. So I think that final piece, just to add to it, is make sure that what you're doing is working, it's effective, it's not a money grab situation with the community members that you're engaging with or teaching, but you're getting them results. And I'm not saying that shortage of results is usually your fault, but help them, push them a little bit, like push them off the ledge. Sometimes some people need a pat on the back and others need a little push to jump off the ledge. And so you got to know who you're dealing with and really helping them make the thing. So yeah, this was fire, Nix. What a dialogue, man.
Thank you. No, you brought up the conversation. You did it. I honestly, next live, I want to know more about the developing of others, like how you spoke about, as far as like, okay, I'm just concentrating on, the revenue side. Like, what makes you just want to concentrate on that for the people? Is that more like a personal goal for you? Is that like what people really seek for? I want to know that process with you. And we're going to go over time. So I'm going to say this next live. Yeah. He's going to think of a topic to where he could combine that, because I'm interested.
No, for sure. I mean, the short answer, and I'll just give one here really quick, is that the biggest pain point for people in the service industry is client acquisition. Hands down, point blank. And so that pain point is magnified when people are just starting or trying to enter the space. And so for those of us who've been in the space for, say, 5, 6, 7 years, we've overcome those early hurdles, and we have enough momentum riding behind us that even when you have a bad year, a bad quarter, or a bad season, you can still power through because you have experience on your side. But what about for those new people who are just they're not walking yet, they're like crawling, they're standing up and falling. So they need a little bit more support, at least for the area in which I'm in, which is helping people to build a business in the service industry or the coaching and consulting industry. So it's like, no, I need to make sure you have revenue, because without revenue, you don't have a business. And so, that's kind of like the short answer for it, to really make sure people are getting that return on investment.
I like that. I still want to know more. I still if y'all want to know more, put more. Okay, put in the comments whether you're watching this live or the replay. Just put more, because I feel like and maybe so maybe I'm gonna go maybe 2 minutes over, even though I gotta go some more. 2 minutes over, right? Maybe this is a selfish reason, where it's funny because me and Moose, we differ in this business side, where I am full blown impact. He's like, what's going to make people money? And he's been on that wave for a while, to why both of us are great together, because then it's a complete package, right? Yeah. So hearing this side of, well, I want to make them money first and foremost. That's like, they just got in, cool, make your 1,000. Like, but hold on, like, right, I don't even know this for myself. It's not about you. It's about making 1,000. You can learn it on the way, right? And I'm exaggerating, but it's like almost kind of true at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I think also, like, when you go into those kind of programs, you kind of have to know what you're signing up for. And Moose, I think, at a certain point was like, okay, I know we're attracting a lot of everybody, so let me kind of cater to everybody. To now it's like, nah, you're in this program to become a coach, consultant, use this tool to make some type of more money. So let's talk about that, and let's not be scared of it. And I want to know more about that process of how he got to that. So yes, Moose, can we know more about that?
I got you.
Thank you.
I got you. I will.
Brenda said more.
I will spend some time to at least design a topic that is around that, and we will talk about the specialization, or like why specialize around the business, etc. For sure.
I'm with it. Yay!
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Sorry, people, for being 2 minutes over. Apologize. Hopefully, if you had to leave, you just left. Okay, whatever. But if you waited to the end, shout out to everybody who watched all the way to the end. We appreciate you. We love you. Go check out the audio experience, Creator Economy Blueprint. I'm telling you, you're going to want to take notes for this one. Moose was like, hold on. I got to actually rewind this.
Bro, I need to watch this myself. Yeah.
Right. So tomorrow the video drops every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to Isaiah who does that. And in which we're going to discuss how do we make the audio experience and the video experience different in 2023. So watch out for that as well. But that's it, people. You know what we're going to say.
Peace, y'all.
Holla.